Hello everyone, welcome to another Tutorial Tuesday. In this Tutorial Tuesday I will be showing you how I made a custom Dolphin diamond painting pen. This was a lot of fun to make. Here I'm going to be starting with the base of the pen, and I wanted to go for a water ripple effect kind of look. So I decided to do the Mokume Gane technique, which is basically layering different colors of clay on top of each other and then piercing it with different shapes. So here I layered some blues, and this is a layer of translucent, and I'm going to be pigmenting the translucent with some blue. But yeah, so then we're gonna stack it, and then I went around my house and found different size circles. You'll see how that plays into effect in just a second. But I wanted to welcome anyone new that is new to my channel. Welcome, hey. I'm Ashley, Crafts with Crashly. Anyway, we do these tutorials every Tuesday. I make custom diamond painting pens, and I love showing you guys how I make them. It's like my favorite craft in the entire world. But yeah, I hope you enjoy it. If it's your first time seeing any of my videos, please consider subscribing. If y'all have fun, please give it a big old thumbs up. Y'all know the drill. So, just like normal, I will be in and out explaining what I'm doing. I think this one's going to take a little bit more explaining than previous ones, just because I don't think I've done a video specifically on Mokume Gane yet. But again, it's just layering different colors of the clay. Now, since I'm going for the ripple effect, I have two shades of blue here, and I have the translucent that I pigmented in blue, and then I also have the white and the black. And basically I'm going to make this into one big old stack, and then I'm going to go through and I'm going to pierce my stack with the different size circles. And again, I found random household items that were in a circular shape that could pierce my stack here. Now when we get to that, you don't want to cut the stack, so when you're looking for your household items, plastic works the best, because anything metal will actually cut instead of pierce it. Like, we want to distort the clay and not cut it. And those of you that have been around for a little bit know I've been experimenting with these pigment powders. So apparently clay with the pigment powders on them doesn't really want to stick to other clay. So instead of rolling it through my pasta machine on the thickest setting with all the colors, I just split it up, and then I rolled one stack on the thickest and the other one on the thickest. So now I have my one big stack with all of my different colors, and that white kind of has a blue pigment to it. It's okay, it's just on the surface. So now that I have them at an even thickness, I'm going to be stacking them whichever way you want them to go. I wanted the black in the center, and then I'm going to cut them to size. I want them to be an even rectangle. All of the colors be the same size before I start piercing them. So we're going to cut them to size, and then we're going to cut in half and keep stacking. Alright, once I was happy with the stack I had here in the multiple layers, I'm just kind of reducing it and shaping it to be into a rectangle. And then I'm going to work with the shapes of the different objects I found around my house. I'm going to pierce it with the biggest circle first, and then work my way down to the smallest one I could find. So again, this is kind of just up to you, your personal preference, whatever you're going for. Just make sure the rectangle stack you have here is big enough to actually, for you to put your shapes in. You don't want a tiny little rectangle because you're not going to get too much of an effect at the end. So I'm just kind of rolling it until I get it to the right thickness and the width that I'm looking for. So once I was happy with how many little circles I found here, there were some crazy objects I found around the house. But with the ripple effect, all you need is circles, There's circles everywhere. Anyway, once I was happy with that, I took my blade here and I just pressed it against the sides because I'm going to reduce it and kind of roll it to fill the holes I just made on the surface. I know, crazy, right? But you'll see how awesome this Mokume Gane effect is. I love it. I'm probably going to use it for all sorts of other things now too. But yeah, I want to reduce it kind of as a rectangle still, and I'm going to take my acrylic roller and just roll along the top here, because then we're going to be shaving off layers, and you'll see how that works out in just a second here. Okay, now here comes the fun part. Now we are going to take one of our tissue blades. Try to use one that can bend and that's very thin. You want one that's, usually the thinner ones are more sharp, but you want to press it against your surface, and we're just going to kind of shave off each layer. Now, I had trouble getting a clean slice. I'm sure that just comes with practice. You see, when you shave it off, if the thinner the piece you can get, you know, just the more bang for your buck, basically. So we're going to shave off little strips of our pile here, and I'm going to flip it over here, the stack, because the other half, the bottom, may have a different effect. So I just kind of go with what I liked more, and each little shaving that you take off, you can put into a sheet. So I'm just going to kind of go slow here, and I'm pressing it down against my glass because it'll stick a little bit to that glass. So when I shave it off, it prevents the clay from moving. That's also really important. But yeah, if you shave it off kind of at an angle with your flexible blade, it seems to work a lot better. But yeah, this side was really, really cool. I liked this one way more than the other one. So once I get this top layer off here, I'll shave off little thin slices, and then I'll kind of gather them together to make one sheet for the base of our dolphin pin. And here is how the sheet turned out. Awesome, right? So now I'm going to take some of the scraps that I had earlier from making the Mokume Gane, and I'm going to make that into a sheet and wrap a pen in it so it has the thickness, and then I'll wrap that in this Mokume Gane sheet that I made here. That way the pen is thick, the base of it. So here is how it turned out when it was wrapped in the Mokume Gane. I do love the look of this, absolutely. I did think the black was a little bit overpowering, and I reached out to a couple people and they thought so too. So I needed a way to, I don't know, kind of offset that. So I decided to get some pigment powders, my new favorite thing. And I chose to pigment it in some blue. I believe I chose sky blue for this. No, I did the duo blue green for this. So I just took a light paintbrush and did a light coat of this, very light. And again, with these pigment powders, I've noticed like a tiny little bit goes so far. If you put too much on your brush, you're gonna have a glob of it. So I only work with the itsy bitsy tiny bit at a time. But I think that that helped blend in the black a lot more and give it that water kind of ripple look that I was going for. As you can see, my hands changed a little bit here. So I made a dolphin cane, and it ended up looking like a deformed shark. Yeah, it's bad. So I wasn't feeling too hot still. I was still sick from last week, but so I phoned a friend. I was frustrated with my deformed shark. So by friend, I mean my awesome, amazing hubby, Kerwin, or Kerwin, whatever you want to call him. He goes by either Kerwin. Anyway, so here is Kerwin making a dolphin cane and how he went step by step. He is going to be making the shape of the dolphin, and then I am coming back in to do the filler, which we're doing the filler as translucent before we reduce it. And I think what really messed up my deformed shark there is I went to gray, and I should have put more of a blue tint, so I made sure that his dolphin was bluish. And also I did not add nearly enough translucent on the outside. Here, I'll show you again real quick. I just wanted to make sure that I still put this in here to show you guys, because you don't always get the right caning effect that you're going for the first time, and that's okay. Like, it happens to me, obviously. So yeah, I wanted to make sure you guys knew I don't get them the first time most of the time either. So one big thing about caning is after you have your image, you have to be very careful how you do the filler, or when you reduce, it's going to look like a deformed something or another. So I had him do the dolphin shape for me because, again, I wasn't feeling too hot. But pay close attention to how I do the filler with the translucent. You want to fill it to where it keeps whatever shape you're making. That's like the key with caning. I went way too fast, so also take your time. Make sure you have each little hole filled exactly how you want it to be shaped. Yeah, I went way too fast and kind of botched it, and now I have a baby deformed shark doo-doo. Just kidding, I won't put that in your head. But still, here is Kerwin doing the dolphin shape. Alright, thank you, Kerwin, for making that dolphin shape for me. So now I'm going to come back in with a dark color, and every time I do caning, I like to outline my shape or image before putting in my filler, and that just helps when you reduce. It helps make the image, or your clean slices pop. So I just came in and I mixed some black with some dark blue to get a dark color, and then I rolled it out on a medium setting on my pasta machine, and I just outlined the entire shape. And his dolphin turned out pretty good. So now I'm just going to cut thin slices and place them on the base of the pen all around. This person that I'm doing the custom for wanted dolphins all around and a dolphin on top. Spoiler alert. Anyway, so with caning too, another big tip, whenever you're done reducing it, the cane is really warm, so it's really hard to get like thin, even slices. So usually, like if I wasn't like on a time crunch and doing this tutorial, I would have let my cane sit for like a day, or I could have put it in the refrigerator to cool down for a little bit. So that's why I'm having to kind of fix the shape here, because it's distorting kind of when I slice into it because it's so soft. So little helpful tip, you can put it in the refrigerator to cool it down, or you can just let it sit overnight so it stiffens up. That way when you slice into it, it doesn't distort with your cut. So that's all I'm doing here, just adding the little dolphins throughout the pen. Now I am taking my Sculpey ultralight clay, which is like a marshmallow lightweight clay. This is what I'm going to be using for the pen topper base of it, and then I'll be covering it in blue clay. Now here's another little mistake that I made, but again, I wanted to make sure I included it in here. But this one's pretty cool. I learned something new about Sculpey Ultra Soft. So my idea was to sculpt the whole dolphin and have it kind of as a pen topper and have the tail go down the base of the pen. So I used a regular pink pen, like not the one I covered in the Mokume Gane, to make the hole in it, which you'll see here in a second. First I'm molding it into relatively the right shape that I'm going for. So then I baked it with the pink pen in it, and it just came off. Now where I went wrong was with the tail going down, I didn't take into account that the pen that I wrapped in the Mokume Gane is much thicker than what a regular pink pen would be. So I ended up having to do some carving, which is what I learned with Sculpey Ultralight. After the Sculpey Ultralight base is baked, like before you cover it in the blue clay, you can actually carve it, and I didn't know that. So you guys will be able to see that firsthand. So here's just me sculpting the shape here, and you'll kind of see how I fixed it. Then I'm going to be taking my base pen that I did wrap in the Mokume Gane. I'm going to trim off the top because that's where the pen topper will be. And the reason that I'm using the ultralight as the pen topper is because it is so ultra light. It keeps the pen from becoming top heavy when you use it. So using the ultralight as a base, it weighs like relatively nothing. So if this was just a big glob of regular Premo clay, it would be so top heavy and very hard to use. So that's why I use ultralight for basically all my pen topper bases. And then I just go back and I wrap it in whatever color I'm wanting. So after this is molded and on the pen and I have my hole in there, I'm going to bake it just like this. And then I'll come back and I'll wrap it with the right clay that I'm wanting. Once it was baked and cooled down completely, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do that carving I was telling you about. I just went ahead and got rid of that long piece completely, and it was so easy to carve. This ultralight is amazing. I just wanted to get it to where it would fit on the topper here, and then the rest I just sculpted with the regular clay. And I just chose a blue clay to cover the head with, and then yeah, the rest is just how I sculpted and molded into the shape of the dolphin. Once I have the head the right shape and covered how I want it, I'm going to stick some liquid translucent clay inside of that pen topper hold I made. And this just secures it. We'll bake it one more time, so that secures the inside of it to make sure it won't ever fall off. And I'm just smoothing out the edges here, and then I'm going to work on sculpting the dolphin's tail. Once the whole body was the right shape that I was looking for, of course I came back and added some more pigment powders. So I did the white pigment powder on the belly just to add some interest and texture to it. And then I used the dark blue for the top and then the lighter blue on the sides. And again, it just gave it this shimmery, awesome look. I'm obsessed with these pigment powders, y'all. After it's baked that one last time, it is time to glaze it, after it's cooled, of course. So now is where you could sand it if you wanted to. I didn't, but I'm using the polyurethane glaze, not mixed fruit. Polyurethane comes in this giant can, and so I had this glass mixed fruit jar, so that's how I just use little at a time instead of trying to reopen and yelling at Kerwin to open the giant can for me. So that's that. And I put 3 layers of this polyurethane on there, making it sure that I let it dry for 30 minutes in between each layer. And again, when you're using pigment powders on the surface, it does need to be sealed with the polyurethane, because after you bake it, it will rub off and get all over you. So that is very important. So I'm using this polyurethane all over the pen, the base, and the dolphin. So overall, I like how this pen turned out. I really do. It was really challenging, but I love it. If I were to change anything, probably I would make the dolphin a little bit smaller, and then also maybe next time I would try to add somewhat of a little wave underneath his head there. Yeah, I think that would look pretty cool. But again, overall, I think it turned out pretty well. I hope you guys like it. This is a custom order pen, so I'm hoping that the person it's for likes it too. So yeah, if you're here for the premiere, thank you guys so much for being here. If you're watching it on the replay, hey! If you guys liked it, please give it a big old thumbs up. Again, subscribe if you haven't already. But I love making these videos for you guys. This is my favorite thing to do. So thanks again for watching and being here. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!